first, I want to start with you, Susanna, and explore the research and practice around high dosage tutoring. I want to bring you in to talk about the research and what it shows on the efficacy of high dosage tutoring, and specifically what makes tutoring effective and how large are those impacts.
Well, thanks for having me here today. I'm excited to share what we're learning about high impact tutoring. I think I'd like to go a couple of slides in now if possible, even to the next one. Okay, so rarely in research do we have so much evidence pointing to the promise of a specific intervention, in this case, what we call high impact tutoring. Researchers have performed over 150 random control trials. These are systematic studies of program effects that do a really great job of isolating the true effect of the program on student learning. These studies, as you see, these are summaries of studies, show positive effects of tutoring across grade levels and subject areas, with effects in most cases ranging from a half a year to more than a year of additional learning over the course of an academic year. Often these results are based on studies of students who are far behind grade level. So tutoring turns out to be a really effective way to accelerate learning for those with substantial learning needs. Next slide. Not only has tutoring been shown to be effective, but as you can see, it's actually been shown to be more effective than almost any other intervention that's been tested. So tutoring is more effective here than technology supports or class size reduction or professional development, all of which can be quite costly as well. Its effectiveness in many ways is not surprising, given that tutoring can target the specific needs of each student, and tutoring from a consistent tutor can help develop the kind of close adult-student relationships that can improve students' engagement in school and their overall well-being. However, we know that, next slide, that many people define tutoring in many different ways, and not all of these approaches are effective. So during the No Child Left Behind era, parents whose children were in schools failing to meet adequate yearly progress for 2 or more years were able to sign their children up for tutoring outside of school. This might sound like a good idea, given that I've said tutoring is so great, but it was not particularly effective or equitable. Few students participated, and we saw very little impact on average. However, even during this time, tutoring demonstrated some positive outcomes in places with things like minimum dosage requirements, more structured tutoring sessions, and stronger coordination with schools. So not all tutoring is effective, but evidence does point to several critical elements for effective tutoring, what we're going to be calling high impact tutoring. Okay, next slide. We can take all of those programs that have shown positive effects and identify their elements, and from that information, create a framework for high impact tutoring. And in particular, we found that 7 elements are critical. The first 3 are really foundational elements of equity, safety, and cohesion, and they support 4 model-specific elements related to the tutor, instruction, learning integration, and data use. And I want to give you just a little detail on each of these. So first, the program must be grounded in equity, and this really means ensuring that students who need it the most have access, and that's going to come up, I think, again and again today. And it means that tutors lead sessions with equity at the center of their instruction. Second, the program has to ensure student safety, and this means designing a tutoring program in which students and their information are safe and protected. And the final foundational element is just cohesion. Good programs have effective leaders who make sure that all these elements that I'm going to be talking about and the internal systems work together cohesively towards the program's goals. So the foundational elements then support these model-specific elements, the first of which is the tutor. Effective programs place a high priority on developing strong tutor-student relationships. And this requires having a consistent tutor who not only has command of the appropriate content knowledge, but just as importantly, is skilled at engaging students in developing those positive relationships. So good programs provide pre-service training and ongoing coaching for tutors. This said, a wide range of people can become really high impact tutors, really effective tutors. And this is important for its ability to scale. While certified teachers have proven to be particularly effective tutors, paraprofessionals and many others can also be very effective tutors. So high impact tutoring programs have strong tutors who have received initial training and have ongoing coaching and evaluation. The next model specific element is instruction. High impact tutoring requires special attention to the amount of instruction and the instructional materials used. Evidence shows us that to be high impact, students need to see their tutors at least 3 times per week for at least a semester, and better yet, a school year. The quality of instruction is, of course, also important, and most tutors need quality instructional materials to help them effectively meet their students' academic needs. In terms of learning integration, programs that are embedded in the school day or are directly before or after school are particularly effective. And this can be tricky as it's important not to replace core instruction, but to supplement it. However, this integration with school is important because these are the programs that have higher attendance. And importantly for equity, they're able to reach the students who need tutoring the most. Finally, the fourth and last model-specific element is data. High-impact programs use data to understand students' learning needs and to track their progress. These data can come from the school, or the teacher or the program can do their own formative assessments to track progress and design tutoring sessions to meet the needs of individual students. Regardless of the source, what's important is the use of data to tailor instruction for students. Next slide. So just to reiterate, we have an understanding of the characteristics. What characteristics make high impact tutoring? It uses a consistent tutor, not a different tutor at each session. It has this consistency so that it can be relationship focused, not just focused on question resolution. And it uses data and high quality materials to really target students' needs. We're also continuing to learn more from research so we can improve its effectiveness and its cost effectiveness and its ability to serve more students who can benefit from this personalized approach. But this, I think, is where the research is now.
That was very impressive. I think I just got a tutoring 101 in 5 minutes. So thank you very much. One of the questions I had around this is, a lot of what you described happened before COVID. And do we have any research about what happened during COVID? Or can you maybe point us to things that might be different in what you described?
Yeah, that's a great question, Melanie. Thank you. We don't have results of many studies that occurred during the pandemic. It wasn't the greatest time for research. However, there are a few completed, and there's some others that are going to be important that are in the field. We're encouraged by an Italian study on virtual tutoring during the pandemic by Michela Carlana that demonstrated significant learning and other benefits for students. The program involved volunteer university students who were randomly assigned to tutor middle schoolers in low-income areas. And the study found that the program substantially increased students' academic performance. And it significantly improved their social emotional skills, their aspirations, and their psychological well-being. So we found that tutoring can work virtually and during the pandemic, and that's important. Recently, we did a study of an on-demand tutoring program, which also provided important but far less encouraging results. It was clear that when the program is opt-in, so students can choose whether to do it or not, even if it's high quality, only a few students take it up. Without direct encouragement, only 19% of students made use of the help, and those tended to be students with higher prior academic achievement. This was not an equity enhancing intervention. Nudges to parents and students increased take up quite a bit, but still less than 30% took it up. And we have questions basically on whether these 24/7 opt-in programs can reach the students who need them the most. Many other studies are currently underway or in planning stages. We have an implementation study across 10 districts to help understand what types of tutoring programs are being implemented for whom and what some of the bigger challenges and solutions are that are going on. We and others have a number of experimental studies underway to understand how to improve effectiveness and cost effectiveness, but unfortunately the results are not yet available.
So helpful. I really appreciate that as a background.